There we go. Okay, try it again. So welcome everyone to the Committee of Adjustment for Monday, November 25th. We have a roll call on members that are here. We have a quorum. Okay. And so we'll call the meeting to order. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Okay. We'll move on to the minutes. So welcome everyone to the Committee of Adjustment for Monday. Okay. All right. The minutes of October 28th were pre-circulated. Is there any comments, deletions, corrections, comments? Nothing. Seeing none. Approved. Seconded by Tony. Okay. So tonight we have two applications on your agenda. Donna, you want to read the first one?
You're welcome. Application for consent B 1224 and B 1324, Maria Geloso, 1402 Poisson Street. The purpose of the application is to create two new lots for a proposed semi-detached dwelling. The application will accommodate the division of the property along the common wall dividing the proposed semi-detached dwelling, such that each dwelling unit will be on its own lot and can be sold separately, i.e. freehold ownership. Specifically, the application proposes to sever two lots for the proposed semi-detached dwelling, being Lot A, identified as parts 3 and 4 on 12R 22858, having a frontage of 12.2 meters, 40 feet, a depth of 37.7 meters, 123.7 feet, and a lot area of 459.8 square meters, 4,949.7 square feet, outlined in red on the sketch. Lot B, identified as parts 5 and 6 on 12R 22858, having a frontage of 12.2 meters, 40 feet, a depth of 37.7 meters, 123.7 feet, and a lot area of 459.9 square meters, 4,950.5 feet, outlined in blue on the sketch. And to retain a parcel identified as parts 1 and 2 on 12R 22858, having a frontage of 36.5 meters, 120 feet, and a lot area of 1,378.6 square meters, 14,839.9 square feet, outlined in green on the sketch. The proposed retained parcel is currently occupied by a single unit dwelling. The existing in-ground swimming pool on the subject lands is to be removed. This matter was previously granted provisional consent by the Committee of Adjustment on November 21st, 2005. However, the time period lapsed prior to the conditions being fulfilled. The severed lots, A and B, are zoned residential R2-22 in zoning bylaw 1746, which establishes site-specific lot provisions to accommodate a semi-detached dwelling, while the retained parcel is zoned R1-10, which permits a single-unit dwelling and establishes a minimum rear yard depth of 1.21 meters, 4 feet. Both the severed and retained lands are designated residential in the official plan. The following comments were received. Public Works and Environmental Services. The applicant should be made aware that the subject properties are within the watershed of existing municipal drainage systems and may be liable for the cost of assessments relating to future works or improvements or maintenance in accordance with the provisions of the Ontario Drainage Act. The applicant will be required to enter into and provide the town of Tecumseh a written agreement for the reapportionment of the drainage assessment for the subject lands in accordance with the Drainage Act as amended, and the associated costs of same be borne solely by the applicant. that the applicant be required to service each individual parcel with separate water supply to the satisfaction of the Town of Tecumseh Water Services Division prior to the severance being finalized. Separate water service connections will be required for both new parcels. Permits from the Town of Tecumseh Water Services Division are required, and a town water operator is to be on site during the installation of the water service. That the applicant be required to service each individual parcel with sanitary and storm connections to the satisfaction of the Public Works Division prior to the severance being finalized. Separate sanitary service connections are required for both new parcels. The parcel to be retained and the parcel to be severed are to be serviced with separate entrances. The applicant, developer, or future builder shall be required to obtain approvals and permits from the Town of Tecumseh to install new access driveways in accordance with all applicable town standards prior to the commencement of driveway construction within the town's right-of-way. That the applicant should be made aware of the presence of an existing utility easement that presently spans the entirety of the lot where it abuts Pusson Street. Public Works and Environmental Services recommends that the easement documents be reviewed by the applicant to ensure that all conditions outlined within the easement agreement are met. Future owners of the new lot should also be made aware of same. The cost of all servicing will be done at the expense of the applicant. Building Department. Once the consent has been approved, a building permit must be obtained by applying through the cloud permitting system and provide all required documents, including an engineered lot grading plan at the time of application. No existing services can cross newly established lot lines, and each lot shall be independently serviced. Fire services, no concerns with the application, no concerns from Essex Power Lines. IRCA has no objection to the application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Mr. Geloso, welcome. Do you have anything to add? Okay. All right. Any questions from the audience? Anybody here to speak to this? Okay. Any questions, comments from the members? Go ahead, Tone.
Through you, Mr. Chair, my question may be either for the applicant or administration. The drawings, I take it there's been no drawings submitted for the potential construction here. The alley in the back, is this still an open alley? And would driveway access at one point be thought of given off the back, should it be needed?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's not an open alley, and there never was any consideration for access off that alleyway. It's not a passable alley, I should say. Yeah.
Great. Administration, Chad, is that a hydro easement back there?
Just give us a second, we can get you that information, but yeah, it's, I'm not sure what it's for, but it was never meant for automobile passage.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Motion? Doug?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would feel confident bringing file number B1224 and B1324 for approval, 1402 Pusso Street, with the applicant meeting the, I believe this meets the 4 tests for that area. I believe, and the applicant would have to meet the drainage act requirements, the water services requirements, the connections, and the easement document also in that.
Okay. Seconder? Chris? All in favor? Approved, that's carried. Okay, thank you, Mr. Geloso. Yes.
And everyone they're trying to fire up all the guys that beside the fence. So if we use it that for dollars, we're not using that side bit. So my point is that we can do something to make it clear. And it's really-
I think that's a bylaw issue. So if you want to call Donna?
Give me a call in the morning and I'll enter it in the system for you for bylaw enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next application is B 14-2 Cooper Lane and Arita Cielzo. I tried. 259 Kensington Boulevard. Welcome. Donna, if you could read the application.
Application for consent B 1424 Cooper Lane and Errata, no, I'm not gonna even say it. Cielza, 259 Kensington Boulevard. The purpose of the application is to request consent to sever a residential lot having a frontage of 13.7 meters, 45 feet, a depth of 42.6 meters, 140 feet, and a lot area of 585.2 square meters, 6,299 square feet, outlined in red on the sketch. The proposed retained lot has a frontage of 13.7 meters, 45 feet, a depth of 42.6 meters, 140 feet, and a lot area of approximately 585.2 square meters, 6,299 square feet, outlined in green on the sketch. This application will accommodate the division of the property along the common dividing wall, the semi-detached dwelling that is currently under construction, such that each dwelling unit will be on its own lot and can be sold separately, i.e. freehold ownership. The lands are designated residential in the official plan and zoned R2-9 in zoning bylaw 2065. The following comments were received. Public Works and Environmental Services, that the applicant be required to service each individual dwelling unit with a separate water supply to the satisfaction of the Town of Tecumseh Water Services Division prior to the severance being finalized. Separate water service connections will be required for both new semi-detached units. Permits from the Town of Tecumseh Water Services Division are required, and a town water operator is to be on site during the installation of the water services. That the applicant be required to service each individual dwelling lot with separate sanitary and stormwater connections to the satisfaction of the Town of Tecumseh Public Works Division prior to the severance being finalized. Separate sanitary service connections are required for both new semi-detached units. The parcel to be retained and the parcel to be severed are to be serviced with separate entrances. The applicant, developer, or future builder shall be required to obtain approvals and permits from the Town of Tecumseh to install new access driveways in accordance with all applicable town standards prior to the commencement of driveway construction within the town's right-of-way. Access culverts across the new driveway entrances will be required within the existing roadside drainage swale, the details of which, pipe size, inverts, grading, etc., must be shown on the lot grading plan and submitted as part of the driveway permit application. This information will be required to confirm the proper grading of the new culverts in relation to the existing culverts and swale. It is our understanding that the site grading plan for this development proposes to use existing swales on the west side of Kensington to discharge runoff. Given the shallow depth of the swale in front of the lot, Public Works and Environmental Services will require additional engineering investigation into the use of the existing storm sewer location on the opposite side of the road. Although we may be able to accept the swale as a suitable location for the stormwater discharge, we feel that the storm sewer on the opposite side of the roadway may be a better option. To this end, field investigations by the proponent's consultant will be required. The cost of all servicing requirements are at the expense of the applicant. No concerns from the building department, no concerns from fire services, no concerns from Essex Power, and IRCA has no objection to the application as a permit was issued for the development on February 1st, 2024. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Do the applicants have any comments, questions? Nothing? Okay. Any questions from the committee? Tony?
With regards to the storm sewer, possibly being having to be put to the other side of the road, if we do approve this, are we going to be making this as a condition of this severance?
Through Mr. Chair, the condition that reads that both the retained and severed parcel have to be serviced with separate water supply, storm and sanitary sewer to the satisfaction of the Public Works Department. We'll ensure that is done however it's needed to be done. So if it is to be connected across the road, that's the best approach. It will have to be done to the town's satisfaction. Yeah, that's our understanding of it now.
Okay, any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Anybody here wants to speak on this application? Okay, I did have a question about, again, through administration about the common wall. And so if one of the units is sold, what is the prescription for the common wall? Is that a shared agreement? I don't know how that works.
Mr. Chair, it's not something that is formalized through a legal agreement with the town. It's something that is dealt with between the landowners, and they effectively own half of that wall each. And it would be up to the private property owners to address any, common maintenance issues with respect to, and maybe, the roof needs replacing, sort of thing. So they would have to work with one another to resolve that as a private matter. These types of arrangements are this freehold style of ownership for either semis or townhouse development is commonplace throughout the region, and it's done without any kind of municipal involvement. Typically, it's done without any municipal involvement, involving a legal agreement. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Committee? A motion? Okay, Chris,
Through you, Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we accept B 1424 with all the recommended conditions as listed.
seconder? Doug? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, no deferrals. Any unfinished business? None. Any new business? No. Okay, motion to adjourn. Doug and Tony, thank you. Thank you all for coming.